Hello, Tandy Elisala here with Center for Inspiring Greatness, your Chief Inspiration Officer. I have a tip for you, two tips for you today for how to stop the comparison game. You know the one where you compare yourself to your friends or models that you see in magazines or on TV, or you compare your house to others or your car. We've all been guilty of comparing ourselves with other people or other things at some point in our lives. But here are a couple things that I'd like to help you put in perspective, okay? The first is this: self esteem, low self esteem, stems from feeling inferior. And one of the biggest ways that we feel inferior is feeling that we're less than, that other people have more or are more. When I first bought my house, that was 16 years ago, it was a modest house. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and it was a nice size. It fit the kids and I just great. And my kids would say, well, one of them would say, and if you know me and you know my kids, you probably know which one I'm talking about. But one of my kids would say, Mom, why didn't we get a bigger house? So and so has a bigger house. My friend Jordan has. And my response was, honey, yeah, we could have afforded a larger house. Yet I choose to not be married to my mortgage. I don't want to be married to the house. I don't want to have such a high house payment that if something happens, I'm struggling. And I found this time and time again where people, my friends and my children's friends would buy homes. They would buy boats. They would buy, more cars than they have people. They would buy all the biggest technology gadgets. They would buy the ATVs and the motorcycles and the campers and all that. And they wouldn't have anything in their investment for savings, for their retirement. They wouldn't have the happiness that they could feel otherwise because they were so up to their eyeballs in debt. And I saw so many people lose their homes or lose their boats or their ATVs or their cars because they were trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. They were, wanting the latest and greatest with everything. And they weren't really thinking strategically. They were trying to be the best, the biggest ego, if you will. And I'm not saying that it's not good to have nice things. It is, absolutely. Yet, collecting all these things for the sake of looking good or because your neighbor on the left and right has one isn't a reason. And we can really get in trouble when we compare ourselves. I'd also like to, so that's one, and I'm sure that if you're listening to this, you can relate to this in some way, shape, or form. Here's the other thing. If there were, 20 of us in a room, and we all expressed our life challenges, those things that that burden us, whether it be poor health or finances or whatever, and we threw it in the middle of a pile in the middle of the room, and we looked at all the other stuff that people have, we would probably take our stuff back. Why? Because it's stuff we know. It's not nearly as bad as the next person. And somehow it just doesn't seem as monstrous of a thing. So think about it in those terms as well. There's always, always, always someone worse off, if you will, than you. There's always someone that is going through a tougher time in life. Even as I went through cancer for a fourth time, I would not have traded my life, who I am, how I look, any of that. I wouldn't have traded any of that to live someone else's life, because we don't know what they've been through. We don't know. Magnificent one, listen to me. We don't know what other people's stories are. We all have stories. We all have been in the deep, dark abyss at some point in our lives. We've all been there. And wanting to be someone else or look like someone else, what is the cost that they've had for that? Maybe, I mean, my goodness, I mean, I don't want to get worst case scenario here, but, maybe they've suffered tremendous abuse as a child and you had a really good childhood. Maybe their entire family has transitioned or passed on, or they're not talking to each other, or, they're bitter. And your family, you get along, or you're thankful that you have your family with you. Maybe that person has been divorced like 10 times and can't seem to attract the right relationship. Yet you have your twin flame or your soulmate, or you're completely happy single. You get my point. There's always someone that has been through a quote unquote tougher time, or gone through experiences that you wouldn't dream of putting anyone through. So don't judge someone just because they look a certain part, because oftentimes you'll end up really miscalculating who somebody really is by how they look, or how they dress, or what kind of car they drive, or what kind of house they live in, what kind of jewelry they wear, all that stuff. We all have a journey. We all have a story. We've all been through stuff. And it's in the acknowledging and feeling the blessing of all the experiences, and know that every experience you have been through has brought you to this point right now. And you would not be you if you hadn't gone through all the life lessons that you've gone through. I wouldn't trade my life for anyone or anything. I really wouldn't. And I don't play the compare game. I don't care if people want to judge or want to spend money on X, and I choose not to. It doesn't make them any better or worse than me. It's simply a choice. And it's through our life lessons, where we learn and we grow and we establish our priorities. So just remember, the next time you look at someone and say, oh, God, I would kill for a body like that. You don't know what's underneath. You don't know what's underneath. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You don't know their journey. So look for the blessings, look for the lessons, and the blessings through the lessons, and have gratitude for everything that you are. Here's one last tip. Call a friend or relative and ask them to share with you the top 10 things they love about you, or they're grateful for you. And that will cheer you up. All right. I hope this helps, and I'd love to get some comments to this video, or wherever you're seeing this, and let me know your thoughts about comparisons and if any of this resonates with you. I'd love to hear it. All right. Take care.